It was a bitter, icy night, the kind where the wind bites through clothing, slicing into the skin like glass. Snow piled along the sidewalks, and the city lights were fogged in a haze of frost. People stayed inside, doors locked, windows shut, tight. No one wanted to deal with the cold or with strangers. The woman knocking on doors didn't belong here. Her name was Valari. She was tall, wrapped in a strange metallic cloth that shimmered like frozen moonlight. Her violet skin was pale from the cold, and her black eyes held both desperation and hope. She wasn't from this planet, but tonight, she had nowhere else to go. She had knocked on 17 doors already, each one slammed in her face. Some people didn't answer, others shouted through the door to leave. A few stared at her strange appearance and grew fearful. Her translator implant let her speak their language, but it didn't help their hearts understand. Valari stumbled down a narrow street and reached the 18th door, a small brick house with light shining behind thick curtains. She hesitated, her gloved fingers trembling as she raised her hand. One last try. Knock, knock. Inside, Renar sat by a small heater, sipping instant coffee and flipping through an old book. He wasn't expecting visitors. His life had become quiet. After the war ended, a war between Earth and the stars, long over now. He'd grown used to silence, but the knock wasn't just soft. It was fragile. As if someone was breaking apart on the other side. He opened the door. What he saw wasn't human, but she looked more human than anyone had in a long time. Her eyes widened. "Please," she whispered. I'm cold. I can't keep going." Renar didn't think. He didn't ask. He simply stepped aside and said, "Come in." And just like that, everything changed. Valari stepped into the warmth like someone entering another world. The heat from the small space heater touched her face, and she let out a soft breath she didn't realize she'd been holding. Her legs wobbled beneath her, and she nearly collapsed. On the rug, Renar caught her just in time, his arms steady but gentle. "You're freezing," he said quietly, guiding her to sit on the couch. "Take off that cloak. You'll warm up faster." Valari's fingers trembled as she undid the clasp at her shoulder. The silvery cloth slipped off, revealing the sleek black bodysuit underneath. It was torn near the hem, crusted with ice at the edges. Her skin shimmered faintly, a natural glow just beneath the surface, like moonlight underwater. Renar grabbed a thick blanket and wrapped it around her shoulders. He poured hot water into a cup, dropping in a herbal tea bag, then handed it to her. She looked at the cup like it was made of gold. "Thank you," she whispered, cradling it with both hands. No one else opened their doors. "I'm not surprised," he muttered. "Most people are scared of what they don't understand." She gave him a small, tired smile. "Are you?" Renar shrugged. "Maybe I should be. But right now, you just look like someone who needs help." Valari took a sip, and her eyes fluttered closed. The warmth reached her chest and made something deep inside her melt. For the first time in days, she didn't feel hunted, lost, or alone. He sat nearby but gave her space. "What's your name?" "Valari," she said softly. "From the outer system. I came to Earth on a private ship. Refugee. Status. But there was an error in my papers. They didn't let me stay. I was escorted out of the port, and since then, I've just wandered." Renar leaned back, rubbing his jaw. "They should have helped you." "That's not right." She looked down, then spoke in a quieter voice. "I tried not to get in anyone's way. I even hid from patrol drones. But I'm not made for this kind of cold. My kind. We come from a warm ocean world. This snow, it feels like it's eating me." Renar watched her, the way her fingers still trembled, even holding the hot cup. "You can stay here tonight," he said. "Finally. I've got a spare room. Not fancy, but it's warm." Valari blinked quickly, and something flickered in her eyes. Gratitude too big to put into words. "You don't even know me." "No," Renar said, "but I know you needed someone. And maybe I did too." The heater hummed. The wind howled. Outside. Inside, something quiet and gentle began to grow between them, small, like a spark waiting to become fire. The next morning, pale light filtered through the curtains. Snow still blanketed the city, but the storm had eased. Inside the house, it was quiet, except for the faint sound of the heater and the soft clinking of dishes. Valari stirred from the spare room, wrapped in the thick blanket Renar had given her. The bed had been simple, just a mattress and an old pillow, but it had felt like the softest thing in the galaxy after so many nights on cold metal and wet alleyways. She stepped into the living room, blinking at the smell of something warm and rich. Renar looked up from the kitchen. "Morning. I hope you eat eggs." Valari tilted her head. "Eggs?" He chuckled. "You've got a lot to learn about Earth food. Come sit." She moved slowly, still not fully recovered. Her cheeks were a little less pale, and her glow had returned, faint but steady. She sat across from him at the small kitchen table, her long fingers brushing over the wooden surface like it was something sacred. Renar placed a plate in front of her. Scrambled eggs, toast, and sliced fruit. She stared at it. "It's beautiful. It's breakfast," he said with a grin. "Not much, but it'll keep you warm." Valari took a bite and gasped. Her eyes went wide, and she chewed with surprising delight. "It's soft and rich. We don't have anything like this." Renar watched her eat with a kind of quiet amusement. "Where you're from? What do you eat?" "Mostly sea plants. Protein paste. Once a year, something sweet made from flowering." "Corals," she smiled. "But this tastes like kindness." He blinked. "That's one way to put it." They ate in silence for a bit, but it wasn't uncomfortable. It was a silence full of small glances and growing ease. When they finished, Valari leaned back, her hands resting on her lap. "Why are you being so kind to me, Renar?" He looked at her carefully. "Maybe because I know what it's like to feel forgotten. After the war, people looked at me like I didn't belong anymore, like I was dangerous. You reminded me of that feeling." She nodded slowly. "You're not like most humans." "Neither are you like most aliens," he said, voice softening. "You didn't give up. You knocked 17 times, Valari." "And you were the 18th, she whispered. Their eyes met. Something shifted. The kind of shift where words no longer felt enough, where being in the same room felt warmer than the heater. Valari looked away, her cheeks deepening into a soft, lavender hue. I'm glad it was your door." Renar stood slowly, clearing the plates. "You can stay here as long as you need, no pressure." "I don't want to be a burden," she said quickly. "You're not." And the way he said it, quiet, firm, made her chest ache in a way she wasn't used to. Not from pain, but from something new, something warmer. She touched her fingers to her lips, thoughtful, then asked almost shyly, "Do you think someday someone like me could belong here?" Renar turned back to her, drying his hands. "I think you already do." The snow kept falling for days, blanketing the world in silence. But inside the small house, warmth bloomed, not just from the heater, but from the quiet rhythm that formed between Valari and Renar. She began helping around the house, moving, carefully, curiously. She asked questions about everything: why toast turned brown, why human clothes had buttons, why his dog-eared books smelled the way they did. Her laughter was soft, like wind through reeds, and it made Renar smile more often than he had in years. One evening, as twilight colored the snow outside with a soft blue hue, Valari sat curled on the couch. She wore one of Renar's old sweaters. It hung off her shoulders far too big, but she seemed to love how it wrapped around her. She held a steaming mug of tea and watched the flickering light from a candle he'd lit on the coffee table. "Your world is cold," she said, her voice quiet. "But you are not." Renard looked over from his chair. "It used to be the other way around," he murmured. Valari tilted her head. "You were cold once?" "I was angry," he admitted. "After the war, I didn't know who I was anymore. I stopped talking to people. I stopped caring. Then you showed up at my door and I remembered how to feel." Valari lowered her gaze. "I thought I would die that night. My skin was cracking under the frost. My heart felt like glass." She looked up, meeting his eyes. "But you opened the door." He leaned forward, elbows on his knees. "Anyone would have." She shook her head. "No. 17 didn't." Silence stretched between them, but not empty. It was full, like the pause between heartbeats when something important is about to happen. Valari set her mug down and moved closer until she sat beside him. Her hand reached out, hesitating for a moment, then gently touched his. Her skin was cool, but not cold anymore. "I still don't know what will happen to me," she whispered. "But when I'm near you, I don't feel afraid." Renard's breath caught. Her fingers tightened slightly around his. "You're not just safe here," he said, voice low. "You're wanted here." Valari's eyes softened, reflecting the candlelight. "I think I want to stay. Not because I have nowhere else to go, but because I want to be where you are." Renard reached up and gently brushed a strand of her silken hair behind her ear. "Then stay." She leaned into him, resting her head against his shoulder. Her glow brightened faintly, a soft warmth between them. For the first time in a long time, Renard felt whole. Not a broken soldier, not a man hiding from the world. Just someone with his arm around a woman who wasn't human, but who fit into his world better than anyone ever had. Outside, snow drifted quietly to the ground. Inside, two souls who never expected to find one another began to grow roots, slow and gentle, tangled in the warmth of something that was slowly becoming love. Weeks passed. The snow began to melt, revealing patches of earth beneath. Trees budded quietly. The world was waking again, and so were they. Valari's cheeks had color now, and the soft glow under her skin pulsed gently when she smiled. She still asked endless questions about birds, about music, about why humans wore rings when they loved someone. Renard answered each one with patience and a faint amusement, watching her fall in love with the small, ordinary things of his world. But it wasn't one-sided. He found himself seeing everything through her eyes. A bowl of soup became a miracle. A walk in the park turned into an adventure. Her wonder softened something inside him he didn't know was still hard. One evening, under a golden sky, they sat on the front steps of the house. Valari had woven a thin bracelet from threads of her old cloak and tied it around his wrist. Her fingers lingered when she did, warm and careful. Renard looked down at it. "What does it mean?" "In my culture," she said, "it's a promise. To stay close. To share the quiet moments, not just the bright ones." He nodded slowly, turning his hand over to trace the threads. "I'll wear it every day." She smiled, then looked away toward the horizon. "I used to think Earth hated me, but maybe it was just waiting to show me the right person." He reached out, brushing her hand with his. "You knocked on 17 doors, Valari. It wasn't just luck that brought you to mine. It was fate." She turned to him, her expression tender. "And if I said I wanted to stay forever?" Renard's heart thudded. He reached for her other hand, holding both in his. "Then I'd say you already have." Her breath caught, eyes glistening with something bright and soft. And then, slowly, she leaned in. Her forehead touched his. Her skin hummed against his. The moment was quiet. The world hushed around them. Her lips brushed his, cool at first, like morning dew, then warmer, deeper. A kiss that spoke of all. The cold night survived, of all the hope they never gave up on. A kiss that felt like spring rising from frost. When they parted, she whispered, "Thank you for opening the door." He smiled, his thumb brushing her cheek. "Thank you for knocking." And so, the alien woman who had once wandered the earth with nowhere to go, and the human man who had once sealed himself away from the world, built something beautiful, not grand or flashy, but honest and real. Love had come not with fireworks, but with warmth, with shared blankets, with silent kindness, with choosing each other every day. Together, they proved something neither of their worlds expected. Sometimes, all it takes is one open door to change everything.